Hello and welcome back to the Beyond Rosacea podcast. I'm filming this episode from my truck because at this point in my life, done is better than perfect, and I have so many things that I want to share. And today's topic is going to be about where I think the wellness world gets it wrong and is actually perpetuating your chronic symptoms. And this is just my personal opinion as somebody who spent over 10 years in the wellness space doing all the testing, doing all the protocols, taking all the supplements, was everything from like super restrictive diets where I was eating like 3 foods to having more leniency with my diet, but still cutting out very huge groups of food like gluten and dairy, and thinking that there was something wrong with my body, like there was a physical issue going on. And now that I've come out of all of that and I am healing in a way that has no restriction, like I eat all foods, I don't take any supplements, it's purely based on a deeper understanding of myself and my emotions and how I'm feeling, and really looking internally at parts of myself that I had been avoiding my whole life and not wanting to feel or not wanting to look at. And these are the things that I believe really hold people back in the wellness space and actually keep you stuck and actually create more of the chronic symptoms that you're actively trying to avoid. One of the biggest things that I've realized that I think is super detrimental to people's healing is this concept of doing more. We think we need to do more diets, more protocols, more supplements, more restriction. We're going through our lives on overdrive. Maybe you're a huge people pleaser. You're always putting everyone's needs before your own. You always have super high expectations of yourself and you think that you need to be the best, and not from a healthy place. It's driven from a place of never wanting to let anyone down, never wanting to make mistakes. And after a lifetime of showing up for life that way, your body can just become overwhelmed and it becomes exhausted. And it's like, you know what? We can't continue living the rest of our lives like this. Like, we can't go another 30 or 40 years showing up this way. Usually, by the time we have chronic symptoms that start to surface, we are already so overwhelmed and so overloaded. And the ironic thing is that when these symptoms show up, we all of a sudden think that we need to add more to our lives. We need to add another protocol. We need to take more foods away. We need to spend more time cooking. We need to be way, way healthier. We need to take more supplements. We need to research more. And we put our bodies deeper into this overdrive. Like, I remember when I used to try and heal, I would spend, I don't know, like I would spend my whole entire weekend basically cooking because I worked a 9 to 5 and I needed food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I would only eat whole foods. I would never eat anything that was pre-made by anyone else, even if it was like a healthy meal or like getting a burrito or something from the store, which meant that I had to cook every single meal that I ate. And that gets so exhausting after a while. And then in the evenings, I would spend all my time researching and trying to figure out what was the next thing that I needed to avoid or remove from my diet, or what was the magical supplement that was going to make me better. And slowly my life just got smaller and smaller and smaller because I just kept piling more onto my plate. And then I was like, oh my gosh, maybe like if I get a red light mask and I do red light, or maybe if I go in the sauna more, or maybe if I start going on walks more and physically moving my body, like there was just always something else that I was trying and always something else that I was adding to my plate, trying to do a good thing. But all I was doing was just overwhelming myself even more. The other side of that coin is not only do we add way too much onto a plate that is already way too full, which in turn just ends up fueling more of what we're trying to avoid, we also remove everything that we love. We start adding all these things that we don't even enjoy and we don't even like, and we approach healing from this mindset of if it's hard, if it costs a lot of money, if it's like super intense, like the more hard it is, the more money it costs, the more intense it is, the more it's going to work, the better it is. And that is the opposite of how healing works. When you believe those narratives, you start to give up everything that you love. And in a time in your life where the most healing thing you probably could do is more of the things that you love, we approach it so backwards and we remove all of those things from our life. Like for me, I used to love working out and sweating, and I loved being in the sun, and I love food. Like I literally love eating so much. We do more that we hate, and we take away so much of what we love, and then we expect our bodies to be in this state where it's happy and it's going to heal. Because the thing about this is that your body is capable of healing on its own. It doesn't need you to micromanage it. It doesn't need you to figure out the perfect things and create the absolutely perfect environment and be so perfect and so amazing. It can do all of this on its own. But if your nervous system is stuck in this state of survival and stuck in this state of fight or flight, then it never actually switches into the parasympathetic state, rest and digest, which is when healing happens. So your body has this whole ability and cycle and phase and thing where it does all its own healing on its own. But if we never allow our bodies to go to that place because we're so overwhelmed and we're so overloaded and we're not living in alignment with who we were created to be, and we're showing up as someone that we're not, and we're constantly feeling resentful and we're constantly repressing emotions, like it's not the overwhelm that's creating your symptoms. It is your relationship with the overwhelm. It's avoiding the overwhelm. It's not wanting to feel the overwhelm. Problem with all of these diets and protocols and restriction and thinking that we're broken is that even the belief that your body is physically broken will keep your nervous system stuck in a state or fight or flight. Like you are turning inwards on yourself and you're saying, I don't trust you. I don't trust you to be able to heal. And that is such an insult to a body that is constantly doing everything it can to keep you alive and keep you safe and keep you functioning. Like, I think we have forgotten, even in the wellness space, it's like the wellness space technically should be the space that understands the body the most and understands how magical and perfect and beautiful it was created. And that's almost the space that is like perpetuating the opposite message. It's creating the most fear. It's creating this belief that there's actually something wrong with you. And we have forgotten that our bodies are constantly doing everything they can to take care of us. Like you have a heart that is pumping blood 24/7. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to monitor it. You don't have to make sure it's doing it properly. It's just doing it. You came into the world with a body that knew what it was doing. You have lungs that are constantly inhaling, exhaling to keep you alive. You have blood that's being filtered. You have a liver that's filtering toxins. You have a body that's digesting food. You have a body that's eliminating waste. You have a body that will sweat when you need to eliminate things. Like, we have forgotten how powerful our bodies are, and the belief that you are broken and the belief that there's something wrong with your body also keeps your body stuck in that state of fight or flight. Another way that I feel like the wellness industry is keeping people stuck in their healing is it's creating this cycle of undereating. And I don't think that this has happened on purpose. Like, I don't think that was ever the goal, was to get people to undereat. But the more we make people afraid of food and we put these labels on huge groups of food like grains, gluten, dairy. I mean, there's protocols that say you shouldn't eat carbs. Like, there's ones that say you should only eat fruit or you shouldn't eat fruit at all. Like, as soon as we start to label food as good or bad, we start to create fear around food. And that fear around food has led to so much restriction and so many people under eating. Like, there were times in my life where instead of eating a bad food, I would rather not eat at all. So if I was busy or if I hadn't done my meal prep for the week and I didn't have something to eat, instead of going to Subway and ordering a sandwich, which is perfectly fine and perfectly healthy, and I literally do it all the time now, instead of doing that, I would choose to starve myself and I wouldn't eat at all. And the thing is that under eating signals famine and danger to your nervous system, and that actually activates a stress response. When your nervous system in your body isn't getting enough food, your body goes into this like, holy shit, there is something severely wrong and we are not okay, because food is detrimental for your survival. Like, it is not okay to not eat. It is not okay to not eat, and you not eating is actually making your symptoms so much worse than if you just ate the food that you believe is so bad. Your organs require food because they need energy in order to function. And so if your organs are like, shit, we don't have enough fuel to be able to do what we need to do, like, we're going to start shutting stuff down. So we are not going to focus on healing because we don't have the energy to do that. All we have the energy to do is just keep her alive. We're going to keep the reserves that we have. We're going to do what we can do with the little food that she's giving us, but there's not really much we can actually do to heal because we are in danger right now. The other thing that I feel like the wellness industry really perpetuates is this cycle of fear. It keeps us stuck in this fear fixing control cycle. And the thing about fear is that everything we do, every action we take, it's either fueled by love or it's fueled by fear. And so it doesn't really matter what the action is. It doesn't really matter whether it's eating broccoli or eating a sandwich or taking a supplement. If that action is fueled by fear, it's going to keep your nervous system stuck in this hyper aware state. And I feel like I am a living, walking example of this because I used to eat gluten and dairy sometimes, and I used to eat foods that I thought were bad or like dangerous. And I feel like I would break out just because I was so afraid of the thing. Like, my body was like bracing for the impact of it, but it's not because of the thing itself. It's because of what my relationship to that thing was and what emotions were driving my actions. So like when I would eat a sandwich and I was so scared of eating a sandwich and I believed so strongly that that sandwich was bad, I probably would break out, but not because of the sandwich. It was because of the amount of fear that I had behind eating that sandwich. And now when I eat a sandwich, I don't give two shits whatsoever. I just eat the sandwich, and I'm so happy while I'm eating the sandwich because I love food and I don't like restriction and I want to be able to eat whatever I want. And so when I'm eating that sandwich, I'm like, yes, this is so good. I feel so much love. I feel so happy. Like, I'm not worried at all. I'm not stressed out, and I have zero reaction. I have zero reaction. I feel so good. This is why you can do so many diets and so many protocols and like think you're doing the right thing. But if you're hating your life the entire time you're doing it, and if you're only doing those actions because somebody else told you that that's what you need to be doing, and it's not because you actually want to be doing that, or you're like super excited to do it, or you love doing it, it's not going to work. It can't work. It's so funny because I feel like if people grasp this concept a little better, their healing would speed up so much quicker. Like, if you made every decision based off of, does this make me feel more love or more fear, your body would heal faster because it would switch into that state where healing just happens naturally. And that can go against everything. Like, me making decisions based off of love and what actually feels good for me, not a narrative that somebody else created, not something that I read in a book or heard on a podcast. Like, it's very individual. And that's why I don't like talking about like, oh, this is good or this is bad, because what is good for someone could be so different than what is good for someone else. And I feel like working out is a really good example of that. I'm at a stage in my life where working out and moving my body and going to the gym, I think, would actually be really helpful, not for my healing of my rosacea, but just like for me in general, for me to be in a better headspace, for me to feel better about my body, all the things. But there was a time a couple years ago where I had no capacity to go to the gym. I had no extra time. And if I would have thought that I needed to go to the gym in order to be something or have some type of result, it would have just added way too much. And that's why you can't label anything as good or bad. There's different seasons in your life where doing certain things are going to be helpful, and there's different seasons where doing that exact same action is not going to be helpful, and that is because it's not about the thing, it's about how doing that thing makes you feel. Like, for me, when I eat healthy, I do feel way better. I do. But there also gets to be an extent of it where sometimes I just don't have time to be as healthy as I would like to be. And a really good example of this is me moving recently. So for 2 weeks, literally all I ate every day was like sandwiches and pre-made meals that I would find at grocery stores and stuff. And I ate that for like 2 or 3 weeks because I was busy packing my house. I was busy moving. This was like a very forced move that I didn't see coming. And so all of this has been super unexpected. And so on top of it being a very emotional, kind of overwhelming couple weeks, I was like, I'm not going to overwhelm myself even more. I'm not going to worry about what I'm eating. I'm just going to make sure that I'm eating because it's so important to eat and I need energy during this time. But I don't care what I'm eating. Like, it's fine. It's not going to kill me. And I did this for 3 weeks, literally every single meal. And by the end of it, I was like, my skin's fine. It's not a big deal. And that's because in those moments, me choosing flexibility was actually the healthiest thing I could have done. It would not have been healthy for me to be obsessing about my diet as well. Sure enough, by the end of those 3 weeks, nothing happened to my skin. I didn't get breakouts from eating that way. I mean, I don't get breakouts from eating that way anyways because I have so moved on from being afraid of food and I've let all that shit go. But there's just so many things that are so situational, and it's like I think in the wellness industry there's too many things that have become black or white. Like it's like this food is good, this food is bad. This is good, this is bad. Doing this is good, doing this is bad, and life doesn't work that way. Like again, sometimes going to the gym can be really really helpful, and sometimes going to the gym can actually be the thing that's making your life harder. It's not about the thing that you're doing, and we can't paint everything with that brush and say that like this thing is good and this thing is bad, especially when everyone is so different and everyone has different lives and different circumstances, and it just doesn't work like that. Life will never ever ever work like that. And kind of off my last point is that we start to label things as threats. And the thing about our brains is that our brains are wired to protect us from anything that we deem as a threat. If somebody tells you that gluten and dairy are bad for rosacea, it is completely up to you to decide what kind of life you want to live. And if you look into the future and you ask yourself, do I want to be able to live a life where I eat gluten and dairy? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then it is up to you to protect that from not becoming a belief in your mind. And that's honestly why I have stopped following so many like wellness influencers. Like it's the same old song and dance. Like everything is like, this is good, this is bad, this food is good, this is bad. And I don't want that shit in my brain because I know how powerful my brain is. And as soon as I hear something too many times and my brain starts to believe it, my brain will make that a reality in my life. You could have gone your whole life eating bread, and then all of a sudden you're doing all this research and you're seeing all these people who are in the holistic space and they're like, no, you have to cut out bread. Like you will not heal unless you cut out bread, and bread is making your symptoms worse. And so your brain is like, okay, I believe it. That's true. And as soon as you believe that's true, every time you go to eat bread after that, your brain is going to be scanning and it's going to be like, oh shit, there's the bread that she believes is so bad. And our bodies will increase symptoms around anything that we have told our brain is a threat. If we believe something is bad, like I believed coffee was the last thing that I kind of brought back into my diet because I was like, no, I swear to God, every time I have a coffee, I get a breakout. And then eventually I was talking to someone I work with and she was like, yeah, but Darlene, even if coffee does make you break out, you know the reason that you got rosacea is not because you drink too much coffee. Like you know that God is using your rosacea to wake you up and to become a healthier human, not in the way that I eat, but healthier in the way that I show up in life. And so she's like, you know that you didn't get rosacea because God's trying to get you to avoid coffee. So like technically, yes, you can avoid coffee all you want. Then God's just going to use something else to trigger the rosacea to come up because he's using it as a lesson for you. He's not using it because he doesn't want you to drink coffee anymore. And I was like, you know what? That's so freaking true. Like I know why my rosacea is here and I know the work that I have to do. And I'm just not going to care about coffee. Like who fucking cares? If I drink coffee, or if I don't drink coffee, then he'll just use something else to trigger my rosacea. And so I started drinking coffee again, and I just kind of like let that belief go that like coffee was something I couldn't do or something I couldn't have. And now when I drink coffee, my skin doesn't break out anymore. Surprise, surprise. So I just feel like this obsession with labeling everything good or bad is just creating so many threats in our lives, and it's creating so many unnecessary things for us to avoid. But 99% of the time, the only reason you're responding to it is because you believe that it's something bad. And as soon as you believe that something is bad, your brain is going to flag that, and it's going to be like, okay, this is dangerous. So every time she comes near this, we're going to create a symptom. And lastly, the mindset that we are broken pulls us away from the actual problem. The farther we get into these rabbit holes of thinking that we're a problem to be fixed and there's something wrong with us and we just need to find the one food that we need to avoid, or we need to find the one supplement that's going to make everything better, it distracts us from the actual work. I truly believe that your rosacea is a symptom, it's a signal, it's an alarm. I believe that if there is something wrong with your gut and your gut isn't digesting food properly and it isn't functioning the way it's supposed to, that is also a symptom. I do not believe that it's the root cause. Like if you're having a hard time digesting food, it's probably because you are actually having a hard time digesting life and you're running away from everything and you don't want to look at it, and or there's too much being thrown at you and you can't keep up with what's coming at you. You think of a fire. So like say there's a fire in a building, the fire alarm goes off, the fire department is called, they show up, and when they get there, they start pointing the hoses. Rather than pointing it at the fire, they point the hoses at the fire alarm. And that's basically what we're doing, is we're looking past the whole entire thing. We're looking past the whole entire reason that this is here, and we're just pointing it at the alarm. I think all of this stuff has just become one big distraction from actually doing the real work. Since I've come out the other side of all of that and I've tried different approaches and I have focused on learning how to process my emotions, and I've focused on looking at beliefs that I have about myself and how I feel about myself and my worthiness and the feelings of not being enough. Like those are deep, deep things that live inside of us, and they control and run everything we do. And the fact that we think that gluten and dairy and all of that is so much more important and has so much more of an effect on our body than how we actually feel about ourselves and how we move through life. Like I would spend all day at a job that I hated, where I was overgiving, where I was overwhelmed, where I was always stressed out. I would be in relationships where I felt like I had zero help and zero support and I was treated like trash. And then I would go home and be so worried about what I was eating. Like I'd be like, oh my God, I literally cannot eat that piece of bread, but tomorrow I'm going to show up for work again and do it all over again. I'm going to work through my lunch break because I feel like if I don't do a perfect job, like people will think about me a certain way and I just can't handle that. And I feel so mad and overwhelmed and emotional, but I'm just going to smoke weed at the end of my day or drink a glass of wine because I can't just like sit and be with those feelings. I'm just going to suppress them and let them build and build and build. But when I go home, I will make sure that I cook and that I don't eat that piece of cheese. Like that's really going to be the thing. And now I look back and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, in what world? In what world? What I mentioned in this podcast are some of the big areas that, coming out the other side of that as somebody who was very, very stuck in it and very much believed everything I was being told, those are the biggest things that I know kept me stuck. Like they kept me stuck. And those things, not only did they keep me stuck, they perpetuated more of the symptoms. They created more of the exact thing that I was trying to avoid. Like believing your body is broken will keep your nervous system in fight or flight. It's going to create more symptoms. Starving yourself and not eating food is going to keep your body in fight or flight. It's going to create more symptoms. Doing everything out of fear, doing the perfect protocols, eating the perfect diet, but doing it because you're afraid of things and doing it because you're afraid of what would happen if you don't do it is going to keep your body stuck in fight or flight, and it's going to perpetuate more symptoms. Like it's actually become so backwards. And I know that all of this started out very well meaning, and there's so much good information and there's so much that we should know and learn about our bodies, but we have taken it way too far. And now all of that stuff has actually just become the biggest distraction from what's actually important. Like, it used to be that it was like Western medicine against the wellness industry. And now I just feel like the wellness industry has become something that is creating more of the symptoms as well. Like, you are not meant to live on a diet that involves 5 foods. Like, I look back at some of these protocols that I used to try, and it's like, oh, let's drink celery juice every single day and literally take $500 worth of supplements. There was like probably 10 foods that I was allowed to eat, and it's just stressful. Like, doing that is so stressful. And the point of healing is not to create more stress and more overwhelm, like I said. Like, we really need to look at what we are adding more of to our plates. And rather than being like, you know what else can I do? What else can I add? What more can I do? I think we need to focus a lot more on like, what can I take off of my plate? Instead of being like, wow, I already do way too much and I'm already way too overwhelmed. And now how can I overwhelm myself even more? Like, what more could I possibly do to make my life harder and more stressful? And again, I don't know if you guys can see the irony in that or the humor in that, or if it's just me because I've come out the other side. But I look back and I'm like, it makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. Like, make it make sense. Someone please make it make sense.